everyone, and welcome. Whether you are experiencing YWCA Greenwich's 16th annual Old Bags Luncheon at the Belhaven Club, or in your own home or at a friend's home, we are so glad that you could join us today for this special event. I'm Mary Lee Kiernan, President and CEO of YWCA Greenwich, and I am so grateful for your ongoing support of YWCA Greenwich's domestic abuse services. What a year this has been. When we all gathered for the Old Bags Luncheon, the virtual Old Bags Luncheon a year ago, I don't think anyone could have foreseen what would transpire in the next few months. Although YWCA Greenwich closed its buildings and suspended in-person programs for several months, I am proud to report that our domestic abuse services continued without interruption. When we were all restricted to our homes, our domestic abuse services staff sheltered clients and continued to field calls from our victims at all hours of the day and night when they called us from bathrooms, hidden in closets, or while out on a walk, all to avoid detection from their abusive partner. We saw a dramatic increase in the crisis services we provide, and as restrictions loosened, we came back to the building and continued providing the full array of crisis and post-crisis services. What we did not expect was what happened next. Last fall, we didn't see an easing of the demand for services, but we saw an increase instead. The needs of our clients became more complex. We saw a 358% increase in crisis services we were providing and a 46% increase in calls to our hotline. Right now, we have a wait list for the first time ever for counseling. Our counselors are booked solid. In just a few minutes, you will be hearing one of YWCA Greenwich's domestic abuse services clients speak to you. Janet will tell you about the years she spent in an abusive marriage. As a successful businesswoman working for a major corporation, she had power and influence at her job, but not at home. YWCA Greenwich helped her to regain her personal agency and her power, and she found the courage to change her situation. Thank you for listening to her story. You know, your presence here at this luncheon, your purchase of a bag, your support of this event will help countless others like Janet. It's really women that are lifting up other women and their children that draws me and you and so many other women to this event every year. Together, women are powerful, and we can make an enormous difference in the lives of other women and children in their most vulnerable moments. So thank you most sincerely for being here today, and thank you to our amazing co-chairs, Connie Ann Harris, Tara Restieri, Natalie Stein, and Lauren Walsh for their leadership and their creativity. And finally, thank you to the wonderful Scott Mitchell for his superb fashion expertise and his ongoing commitment to this event. Now it's my pleasure to introduce you to the Director of Domestic Abuse Services, Meredith Gold.
Hello, and thank you so much for joining us for this year's Old Bags Luncheon. My staff and I look forward to this amazing event each year, and while we aren't able to all be together yet, your participation and support truly helps us feel connected. Thank you. This year has taken a toll on all of us, and even more so for the courageous victims and survivors of family violence. Survivors faced even more threats and escalated violence, all while coping with public tensions boiling over amid a global pandemic. When the COVID crisis began, we were worried. How could we still be there for our clients? How would they be able to reach us? Would it be safe? Would we be able to continue to deliver all of our services, which seemed more important than ever? We quickly got to work to adapt our programs, to use technology in ways we'd never imagined, and to make sure that the Greenwich community knows that we were still here. And we continue to weave and bob and face new challenges as our world seemingly changes day to day. This fall, we braced ourselves for what we knew would be a huge surge in demand for our services. Until that point, we knew that many were not able to reach us. They were trapped at home with abusers, continually monitored throughout the day, their technology use limited or tracked. But as restrictions loosened up, more and more people started reaching out for help, and they needed a lot of help. Our emergency shelter, intended for short-term stays, has been at capacity and full since the summer, with families comprised of mothers, children, teens, and even pets, who have remained in limbo with limited options of where to go next. At the same time, we urgently ramped up our housing advocacy and were able to place 11 families fleeing domestic violence in permanent, sustainable housing. Complex families with complex needs were reaching out for support for domestic violence, but also were in need of food, clothing, pharmacy, and transportation more than ever before. In comparing the fall of 2020 to 2019, the number of services we delivered increased by 80%, and the average number of services we provided to each client nearly doubled. As of today, we have 19 people on a waiting list for counseling, including 7 Spanish speakers and 8 children. In my 15 years at DAS, we have never had a waiting list. These certainly are extraordinary times. It's been easy to feel overwhelmed. At the end of a long day of nonstop hotline calls, it's easy to feel like this problem of domestic violence is just too big to solve. Domestic violence is still the #1 violent crime in Greenwich. It is still true that 1 in 3 women and 1 in 7 men will be victims of intimate partner violence at some point in their lives. Many still blame victims for suffering abuse because why don't they just leave? And so it's easy to find myself wondering, does it matter? Does any of this hard work even matter? I listened to a voicemail yesterday. The voice sounded shaky but determined. She said, "I can't believe I'm leaving this message. I can't believe I'm finally calling you. I'm ready." When I called her back, she told me about the years of emotional and psychological abuse she had endured, the constant fear she had lived in for the safety of her children and for herself. Then she said that about 2 years ago, after Jennifer Dulos went missing, she read about YWCA Greenwich and domestic abuse services in the newspaper. She told me that on that day, she wrote my name down on a small piece of paper and told herself that someday she would be ready and that she would call me and that she just knew we'd be able to help. She told me that she dug that piece of paper out of her desk the other day and made the call. She told me, "I am ready." On average, it takes a victim 5 to 7 attempts to get out of an abusive relationship. The very real fears about what could happen can make someone feel hopeless. Sometimes victims don't even realize that they are experiencing abuse. How could it be that the person they love is an abuser? How could it be that they are a victim? But then, for many, the day comes that they are ready. And that day came for our next speaker, Janet. I remember the day I first saw Janet. She walked into the DAS offices in a long coat with bags that looked like they were bigger and heavier than what she could possibly carry alone. She kept her head down and looked at the ground as she walked in. I could tell that she was frightened and worried, and I could also tell that on that day, she was ready. It is my great privilege to introduce you to Janet.
Hi, I'd like to thank everyone at DAS for honoring me with the opportunity to share my journey with you today. I was originally going to start with 3 personal truths, and I will get to those, but something happened just yesterday that has an impact on me, and it is a reminder for all of us who have suffered through the horrors of an abusive relationship. Just yesterday, my ex was arraigned in Superior Court for violating an order of protection. The outcome of that was yet another order of protection, so I now have one in 2 states. It's a scary thought to know that this never goes away. As much progress as we make, there is always something in the shadow stalking us, and it became very real for me yesterday. The timing, I thought, was a bit ironic that it happened yesterday, and today I'm here sharing my journey and the good work that DAS helped me with and helped me to get through. So now I'll get on with the 3 personal truths. First and foremost is to really let you know that without DAS, I would literally not be alive to speak with you today. The second personal truth is that fallacies really consume us. And third, the privilege of a lifetime is being who you are a quote that I borrowed from Joseph Campbell. I lived the same unspeakable, terror-filled show for 35 years. No one knew or even suspected. Why would they? I was groomed to play this role. I have been an actress my entire life. What the world saw was a well-educated, successful career woman living in an affluent community in a long-term, loving marriage. But that was not my life. My life was precariously teetering on the ledge of life, never knowing from one minute to the next what infraction I would perpetrate that would require punishment. Like what, you may be wondering? So here are a few examples. Breathing too loudly, not responding fast enough to a question, not keeping him calm, not getting him to sleep, and the topper, not making every thought and deed about him. He even wrote in red ink on the door to our bedroom, "If it's not about me, don't come in." So you kind of get the idea. Punishment was delivered in various forms, and there was physical violence, and near the end, the violence escalated to several times per day. And then came the Sunday of Thanksgiving weekend 2019, the last day of a weekend fraught with violence, when I was pinned on my back on the stairs with my head being beaten against a brass outlet on the floor with such vehemence and rage, I cried out, "Stop, it's me," only to hear the reply, "I know it's you." And in that moment, I understood this would be my last day on earth. And then suddenly, he slipped and fell to the landing and slit his scalp open on the door frame. And yet still, with blood gushing, he still tried to get to me as I dialed 911. In that moment, I knew I had to leave. But when? He put on a great show for the EMTs and the ER doctors, trying to tell them it was my fault. When I arrived at the ER, I had to take him home and nurse him and his 21 staples back to health. The police had been called when I called 911, but they never showed up, so I was really stuck. Fallacy number one: you have no idea how anyone is living behind closed doors. Fast forward to April 25th, 2019, a day and night of 24 hours of fighting and violence. And then came the final blow at 5 a.m., a punch to the eye. And when I reached up to touch my face, I was slapped, followed by an order to get him calm and to sleep, which thankfully I did. And then I crept to my car, manually opened the garage door, and pushed my car out of the garage so as not to alert him or wake him. I drove to my office on this cold and rainy Friday and called the Y just to see what they offered, and the counselor said, "We take walk-ins." So I walked in, and I never went back. Fallacy number two is one that I thought, you really don't need to leave. You can go home and you can control the situation. But from that day forward, my life had been and still is very much a series of firsts. A few examples of these: first, seeking help, facing a new life, entering the overwhelming process, counseling, finding a lawyer, family court, protective orders, state police, being on my own, and feeling my fear, anger, shame, and loss. Fallacy number three: leaving is the hardest part. The hardest part is what begins the minute after you leave. The journey I now began on that day in April, to mourn the loss of the frightened me, to grieve for the life I had, not because it was good, but because I was good at it, and it was familiar, to learn over time to release myself from regret, the should have or maybe if, to come to the understanding I did what I needed to do to survive in order to get to the moment I could leave and then stare at my entire life now contained in a duffel bag from Walmart. My journey has really been a gift, a chance to give life to me. This is the hardest thing anyone will ever have to do. It is relentless work, and sometimes the pain of weight of it can make you feel like it's much easier to just go back or to just end it all. There have been and still are times when I cannot think beyond the next minute. You must spend time with yourself. Nothing you uncover about you will be any worse than what you have already lived through. I have likened my journey to building a beach, one grain of sand at a time. Patience, kindness, a willingness to learn what you do not yet know are all needed to keep you moving forward. So back to Joseph Campbell. The privilege of a lifetime is being who you are. Those words offer a particular truth for those of us who have paid a heavy price for living, for being who we are. And now we are being offered a second chance to live our lives as our true selves. Recently, I came across some other words in a book I read, and I also found them to be appropriate for any of us who have lived through this terrible shared experiences. You are strong and you are resilient. Remember this. You will have the strength to survive the current circumstances. Know that the universe is ready with a huge cosmic second wind, and take some time alone to tap into it when you need to. It's important that you remember how resilient you are, also how resourceful. Take a break and come back to yourself and feel your strength again before making big decisions. In closing, I will end with my first truth. Without the help of this wonderful team at DAS, I would not be alive today. I thank you for letting me share my story, and I hope that all of you will be advocates for those of us who have suffered the horrors of abuse and who support the work that DAS does to ensure our safety and our recovery over the long term. Thank you.
Wow, Janet, thank you for that unbelievably courageous and moving testimony. Unfortunately, one that the staff at YWCA Greenwich's Domestic Abuse Services hear far too often. And as people are emerging from their homes, we're hearing it more and more. We need to ensure that YWCA has the resources to fight these terrible tragedies. How can you help? How can each of you help? Well, I'm going to show you some handbags, beautiful handbags. You're going to bid often, and you're going to bid high. And not only will you save one life, you will probably help save many lives. So let's have some fun today. Thanks for being here. Handbag number one, ladies, a brand new Hermes Birkin 30. This bag comes in the vermilion veau color. It's an extremely rare color because it is no longer produced by Hermes. The lightweight Togo leather is exactly what you want. It is the highly sought after Togo, and it comes with the silver palladium hardware. This bag is perfect. It includes the raincoat and the signature Hermes orange box, and to boot, you get a twilly that comes with it. Bag number two, a brand new Christian Dior Caro calfskin bag. This bag comes in the cloud blue calfskin leather, a beautiful new color for them. The flap closure includes the CD twist clasp. It's embossed with the 30-month signature on the back and has an adjustable, removable Christian Dior chain link strap. Ladies, Christian Dior has been graciously donating to this auction for many years. Thank you, Christian Dior. Bag number three, a new Evelyn Torion Hermes bag, crafted in the Torion Clemence leather. The color is Poche Feu. For those of you that don't know Poche Feu, it is bright orange, orange, orange. Palladium plated hardware, perforated leather H, an exterior pocket with leather tab closure, and it comes in the signature orange Hermes box. Bag number 4, a Chanel lambskin flap bag. The classic blue quilted lambskin bag from Chanel. Has silver tone hardware, features a rear patch pocket and interlocking Chanel turnclock closure. The strap is an interwoven leather and chain combination that can be worn short or at length, and it has a blue leather interior. Handbag number 5, the new Louis Vuitton Escale Never Full Tote. This monogram-coated canvas bag with cowhide leather trim comes in the color of Rainbow Magic. It has silver color hardware, leather side laces, removable printed zipped pouch, D-ring to hang keys or pouches, and is generously donated by Louis Vuitton. Bag number 6, a brand new Chanel boucle flap bag. Black, white, and tan boucle tweed. This bag screams Chanel. It has silver tone hardware. It has a chain length and leather shoulder strap. The signature Chanel turnlock closure at front flap. Handbag number 7, a new Lautrec Empress tote. Ladies, this is a one-of-a-kind handbag specifically commissioned for this event. You probably will not see this bag anywhere else in the world. It's the Lautrec Empress tote. It's crafted in fuchsia American alligator, accented with 18-karat gold infused hardware, and it includes a crossbody strap. And if you know alligator, ladies, or you know Lautrec, the bidding on this is going to get hot. Bag number 8, a brand new Gucci Dionysus bag. This bag is white textured leather with metallic snake detail. The tiger head closure with silver tone hardware and black crystals. It has a sliding chain strap, and it can be worn as a shoulder bag or a top handle bag. Generously donated by Gucci. So ladies, over the next several days, you will have the opportunity to win, and I mean win, some beautiful handbags. And by doing so, you will change the lives of many in our community. While you're at it, don't forget the pink Chanel handbag that is part of our raffle. And while you're there, look at the Purple Ribbon Challenge. All of those funds go directly to our domestic abuse program. Thank you for your generosity, and let's have some fun. You may be doing this from home. You may be at the Belhaven Club. You may even be away. Heck, if you want to come to Richards and bid on the bags, we can make it happen from here. So bid high and bid often, and I'll see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. What great bags we have once again this year. I hope all of you saw at least one beautiful bag to bid on. The bidding will continue until 10 p.m. on Saturday night, so there's still plenty of time to bid on bags. To access the auction site, please go to www.ywcagrn.org/bags. While there, don't forget to purchase raffle tickets for the beautiful pink Chanel bag, and donations to our Purple Ribbon Challenge are always gratefully needed. Thank you all again for participating in the 2021 Old Bags Luncheon. I look forward to seeing you all again next year at the Belhaven Club. Stay well and take care. Thank you.